Hello everyone, welcome to our physics presentation.
Wait. Just as force move an object, our team supports one another to present this material. Now, let us introduce ourselves.
I am Rifki.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Lorenza.
And I'm Lisa.
Today we are gonna doing something exciting and real in the world of physics is motion and force.
Have you ever wondered how we can slide down a playground slide so easily?
Or why a ball soars so high when you throw it?
All of that can be explained using kinematics and dynamics, the science of how things move and what causes them to move.
Swings and slides. Everyone has a favorite at the playground. But did you know that when you're soaring on the swings or sliding down the slide, you're actually taking part in some really cool science? It's true. Playgrounds are so amazing places to learn about forces.
Forces are pushes and pulls that happen to objects, including us, every minute, every day. Yes, gravity. That's the force that pulls us and everything else toward the earth.
When you throw a ball into the air, gravity is the force that makes it fall back down to the ground.
Now, gravity and other forces work according to certain rules all the time.
A great scientist named Isaac Newton spent a lot of time studying forces and how they work. He discovered some of the most important rules about what happens to objects when forces act on them. Now, remember the second part of Newton's rule. He said that when something is moving, it will keep moving unless something makes it stop. One of the main forces that can stop movement is friction. Friction is the force that happens when two things rub against each other. And I'm sure you've seen how it works before.
But wait! After learning all the formulas, laws, and rules, a question comes up. Do those theories really work in real life?
What if we change the mass in an Atwood machine?
Or tilt an inclined plane at a sharper angle?
To find out the truth, we design an experiment that turns theory into real action.
Let's move forward and test physics in motion.
Let's begin with the basic concept. Our experiment focuses on two main systems: motion on an inclined plane and Atwood machine.
On an inclined plane, gravity pulls the object downward, but only a portion of that force acts along the slope, and that portion depends on the angle of inclination.
So, the steeper the slope, the larger the component of gravity pulling the object and the faster it accelerates. But here's something interesting: if there's no friction, increasing the object mass doesn't necessarily make it go faster.
Now, the Atwood machines consist of two masses connected by a string over a pulley. If the two masses are equal, the system stays balanced. No motion occurs.
But if one side is heavier, the system accelerates, and this acceleration depends on the difference in mass.
By adjusting mass or angle, we can see how acceleration works and compare it to our prediction.
This lets us apply Newton's laws in real-life setups.
And improve our skills in observation, data analysis, and scientific thinking.
So, what are the goals of our experiment? First, investigate the effect of angle on motion.
Second, the effect of mass on motion on an inclined plane.
Third, how various physical quantities affect motion in both systems.
Fourth, to see how changes in load mass affect the Atwood machines.
Let's dive into the experiment. Okay, first, prepare the tools of the experiment. And here are the tools of the Atwood machine. And this is how the Atwood machine works. And just because by adding a larger mass, it will move.
In the dynamic trend setup, the chart is switched, and a color paper is attached for motion tracking.
We repeated the experiment at a fixed angle, changing only the load mass to study its effect. So, you can see how the movement of the two trains is very different.
We set initial position point A at the top, B at 10 cm below, and C at 100 cm.
We vary at both the load mass and the distance the system traveled, timing its motion to gather data. By adding one mass takes time 3.97 seconds. By adding two mass takes time 2.59 seconds.
So, we didn't conduct it physically. This procedure helps us understand how real-world experiments are built from scientific theory.
The data collection in the experiment was carried out to obtain the necessary information in order to address the research question and to test the hypotheses that had been previously formulated.
We collected position time data from each trial using the tracker app, transforming motion into measurable numbers.
For every change in angle or mass, we recorded the corresponding acceleration and velocity values. We also timed the motion of the Edwards system as a mass and distance variant, calculating average acceleration for each trial. And this is a table from the experiment. Following the experiment, we will process with the analysis based on the collected data. For the Edwards machine, larger mass differences produced greater acceleration, exactly as Newton's second law describes. From the data, we saw clear patterns. Steeper slopes led to faster acceleration, confirming our theoretical prediction. From the graphic, it showed that velocity increases linearly with time, indicating constant acceleration. And this is in accordance with Newton's law, which states that acceleration remains constant if the net force and the mass of the system are constant. And from this graphic, the relationship between velocity and time with constant mass is that the acceleration of an object will remain constant if the mass of the object and the force applied remain constant.
So, what did we learn? First, that acceleration on an inclined plane depends more on angle than mass, assuming there's not a friction.
Second, that in the Edwards machines, the difference in mass directly controls the system acceleration.
And third, physics really works, but it becomes more powerful and fun when we test it ourselves.
Thanks for watching. Remember,
Physics is not just theory, physics is
play in motion.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.